Hi guys, welcome to another section of Learning with Prepclass. I am Tutor Chima and I'll be anchoring today's section. Today we are going to be solving past questions on biology Jamb for the year 2019, and we are going to be looking at questions 41 to 45 because in the previous video we looked at questions 36 to 40. Now, before we move, students, do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our videos. If you look below there, you see our comment section box. I urge you to drop one or two comments on our comment section box about what you feel or think about our videos. A comment can also be a question. Maybe if you have one or two questions for me and you want me to help you on, feel free to drop your questions on our comment section. You will also see a notification bell there. I advise you to click it and activate it. When you do so, you'll be the first to be notified each time we have an educational content like this on our channel. You can also be kind enough to share our videos so that it's going to reach as much viewers as possible. Now, having said that, we are going to go straight to the business of today, which is to solve past questions on biology. Past questions on biology, Jamb 2019, questions 41 to 45. So 41 says, a spirogyra cell was placed in solution X. After 1 minute, the cell had been plasmolyzed. Solution X was, a spirogyra cell was placed in solution X. After 1 minute, the cell had been plasmolyzed. Solution X was, is it tap water? Is it a very strong sugar solution? Is it a very weak sugar solution? Is it a very weak solution? Now we must know the word for this plasmolyzed or plasmolysis. What does it simply tell us? Now look at what I said. I said when a plant cell is placed in a hypertonic solution, water leaves the cell by osmosis into the surrounding liquid medium. When a plant cell is placed in a hypertonic solution, water leaves the cell by osmosis into the surrounding liquid medium. The surrounding liquid medium, that is the hypertonic solution. Do you understand? The cell vacuole collapses, pulling the cytoplasm of the cell. Why does the cell vacuole collapse? The cell vacuole contains cell sap, which is liquid. It will now lose that cell sap, that liquid it contains, will now lose it into that hypertonic solution. To lose that water, that cell sap water it contains, will lose it into that hypertonic solution. Because of that, the vacuole will collapse and pull the cell cytoplasm close in a form of shrinking the cell. Are you following? So the cell vacuum collapses, pulling the cytoplasm of the cell. The cell hence shrinks and is said to be plasmolyzed. So that's what plasmolysis is. So plasmolysis simply means a process whereby a cell shrinks as a result of being placed in a hypertonic solution. The process whereby a plant cell, let me just use the word plant cell, a plant cell shrinks as a result of being placed in a hypertonic solution. What's the hypertonic solution? The hypertonic solution is a very strong sugar or salt solution in which the solute concentration of the solution is higher than the cellular content. What do you mean by a strong sugar or solute or salt solution? If I get a cup of water now, a glass cup of water, and I put 10 spoons of salt, 10 full spoons of salt into that glass cup of water, you notice that before I even reach the 10th spoon, as I stir, some salt will no longer dissolve. That is a very strong salt solution. We call it a saturated solution in chemistry. A solution that cannot hold more solute as it is holding more of that solute at that particular temperature. The same thing happens to sugar. If you keep putting sugar into a small teacup of water, by the time before you get to the 10th spoon, some sugar will no longer dissolve. So we call that a strong sugar solution. It's for a salt, a strong salt solution. If you put a plant cell into that kind of solution, either a plant or animal cell, water will leave the cell. Now if you put a plant cell, an animal cell there, the animal cell will lose water, shrink, and die. But if you put a plant cell there, the plant cell will lose water, shrink, but may not die immediately. Are you following? May not die immediately. So, but that plant cell is said to be what? For a plant cell is said to be what? Plasmolyzed. So now the answer is that for that plant cell to be plasmolyzed, it must have been placed in a very strong sugar or salt solution. So the answer is a very strong sugar solution. 42. A farmer X working in a swamp did not eat any food nor drink any water. Which of these diseases can he not contract? He didn't eat, he didn't drink water. Is it cholera? Is it bilharzia? Is it river blindness? Is it malaria? Let's see now. Cholera. Cholera is transmitted by eating infected food or drinking infected water. So the farmer works in a swamp. Let's assume that that swamp is infected with vibrio that causes cholera. So the farmer did not eat or drink in that area, either from the swamp or from anywhere. He will not contact cholera. That's the truth. Bilharzia, bilharzia is a blood fluke. That blood fluke, it is being transmitted by, is just like a kind of parasite transmitted by water snail. So we usually call it snail fever. So the parasites enter the body when a person is swimming, washing, or paddling in contaminated water. So if these snails, water snails, are found in that river, and that water snails have been contaminated with this bilharzia parasites, if you swim in that kind of water, the parasites can enter your body through your skins, into the what? Blood vessels. And from the blood vessel, they get to the large intestine or to the urinary bladder, whereby they cause a kind of urinary problem. Now, they said the farmer was working in a swamp. He did not eat or drink. Which of these can he not contract? If the man was working in a swamp, if that swamp is infected with bilharzia, that's this blood fluke, the man can contact it because the water will touch his body. The water from that swamp will touch his skin, so the man can contact this disease. River blindness. River blindness is transmitted through the bites of black flies that live near streams or rivers. If there are black flies in that area and they unfortunately beat the man, of course the man can contract river blindness. Malaria. Malaria is transmitted by a female anopheles mosquito breeding water. If there are mosquitoes there, and I'm very sure that in most cases the probability of mosquitoes being there is not less than 90%. So if care is not taken, this man will be bitten by mosquitoes, and if they are infected, they will transmit Plasmodium parasite to him, which will cause what? Malaria. So out of all these diseases, the one that the man may not contract is cholera, so long as he neither eats nor drink from that area. But all this one, there's a possibility of him contracting them if the water is infected with snail fever, if the water is infected with black flies, or if they are infected with what? Malaria. So the answer to this question is cholera. He may not transmit or he may not contract cholera if he neither eats nor drinks. So the answer is cholera. 43. A carbohydrate molecule in the blood in the right ventricle of the heart is pumped into the cell of the toe of man. Which of these structures is it unlikely to pass through en route? A carbohydrate molecule in the blood of the right ventricle of the heart. I don't care what molecule it is. What we care is where is the blood. They say that the blood is in the right ventricle of the heart. So from the right ventricle of the heart, it is pumped. And they're asking us in which of these ones will the blood not go through. Now watch. I said that blood from the right ventricle is deoxygenated. You know, our blood is divided, our heart is divided into two parts by a structure called the septum. The septum divides the heart into two parts. The right part of the heart, right auricle, left auricle, deals with deoxygenated blood. Are you following? The right part of the heart, that's the right part of the heart, that's the right auricle, left. What am I even saying? Now, the septum divides the heart into two parts, separating them into left and right. Now the right part of the heart, which is the right auricle and the right ventricle, deals with deoxygenated blood. That is blood that does not contain oxygen. Now the left part of the heart, which is the left auricle and the left ventricle, deals with what? Oxygenated blood, a blood that contains oxygen. Now they're telling us that blood was pumped from the right ventricle. Blood was pumped from the right ventricle, and then the right part deals with deoxygenated, and the left part deals with what? Oxygenated. So since the blood was pumped from the right ventricle, the right part deals with deoxygenated. That means that oxygen is not in that blood, so it is a deoxygenated blood. So that blood from the right ventricle will be pumped through the pulmonary artery, and from the pulmonary artery to be pumped to the lungs for it to receive oxygen. We call that kind of blood circulation pulmonary circulation. When blood is pumped from the right ventricle straight through the pulmonary artery to the lungs for it to be oxygenated, that is pulmonary circulation. Are you following? Good. When blood is now pumped from the lung through the pulmonary veins into the left auricle, then from the left ventricle through the aorta around the body is systemic circulation. So now blood from the right ventricle is deoxygenated. It will be pumped through the pulmonary artery to the lungs for it to receive oxygen. Now blood coming from the heart to the liver must be oxygenated. For the heart to pump blood to the liver, the blood must be pumped through the aorta, and aorta pumps oxygenated blood. So that means the blood that is pumped from the liver, the blood that is pumped from the heart to the liver must be oxygenated. Are you following? So blood coming from the heart to the liver must be oxygenated. So the liver will collect, because the liver needs oxygen to survive. Are you following? So must be oxygenated. The lungs, there is no need for the blood to be oxygenated, because even the lungs that even add oxygen to the blood. So now, blood that is going to the lungs from the heart is usually deoxygenated. The blood that is coming from the heart to every other part of the body should be oxygenated. So blood coming from the heart to the liver must be oxygenated. Therefore, this blood from the right ventricle is unlikely to be pumped to the liver. So out of all of them, the blood can be pumped through the pulmonary artery, of course. It will be pumped to the lungs, yes, for it to be oxygenated. It will be pumped, yes, of course, it's coming from the heart, but it will not be pumped to the liver because it is deoxygenated. So the answer is liver. 44. In a phototropic experiment, young seedlings in a box, they are subjected to light from one direction only. The seedlings continue to grow erect. Which of the following statements is correct? Is it that only the tips of the seedlings received light? Is it the light was not strong enough? Is that the seedlings were rather too young? Is that the tips of the seedlings may have been covered? Now they are telling us that they place a seedling, let's say in a box, and in that box one side is opened so that light is entering from only one side. A seedling is a germinating seed. When a seed has germinated, now produce stem, small, that's a seedling. So you place it in a box, maybe it's in a potted plant. It's a potted plant, place it in a box, open only one side where sunlight can enter. So, but normally seedlings was growing straight. Now what you must notice is that if you place a seedling, I would have showed you a picture of that. We call it phototropism. If you place a kind of potted plant in a box and open only one side for light to enter, the plant will be growing towards that opening where light is coming from. We call it positive phototropism. Now when a shoot receives light from one side only, it bends and grows towards the light. But if the shoot tip is covered, however, the shoot continues to grow vertically. So if you leave the shoot, the potted plant like that, it will be growing towards the light. But if you cover the tip, it will grow straight. Why? The tip of that plant is where the growth hormone is located, auxin, that is responsible for cell elongation. Now look at what I said. If the shoot tip is covered, however, the shoot continues to grow vertically, to grow straight without bending. This shows that somehow one-sided lighting causes less auxins. Auxins are more responsible for that growth. Auxins to gather on the illuminated side. So this shows that somehow one-sided lighting causes less auxins to gather in the illuminated side, and more to gather on the shaded side. So now this makes the cell on the shaded side to grow and enlarge faster, causing the shoots to bend towards the light. So that's just what happened. This makes the cell on the shaded side to grow and enlarge faster, causing the shoot to grow towards the light. So auxin and phototropism they are somehow interwoven. So if you cover, normally if you don't cover the tip of that plant, it will grow towards that light, because as light is shining, the auxins move to that other part of the plant that doesn't have much light, and few auxin gather at that part of the plant that is exposed to much light. So because more auxin is gathering at that part that is exposed to less light, that part will now be growing more, causing that bending. But if you now cover the tip, what happens? The plant will grow straight. So they ask us that the seedlings continue to grow. Why is it so? So the answer is that the shoot tip is covered. The shoot tip must have been covered to cause that plant to be growing straight. So the answer is the tips of the seedlings may have been covered. That's the only reason that will make the plants to be growing straight. 2045. Which of these is not a characteristic of wind-pollinated flowers? Which of these is not a characteristic of wind-pollinated flowers? Is it small quantities of sticky pollen produced? Is it feathery style of stigmas pendulously hang outside the flower? Is it small conspicuous scent flowers? Is it large anthers which are loosely attached? Wind-pollinated flowers are mostly grasses. All those grasses, sedges, they are wind-pollinated flowers. They are not like all these tree plants, all these trees. Flowers of those trees are pollinated by insects. Why? Because insects are attracted to their flowers. Their flowers are conspicuous, they are brightly colored, they are scented. They're asking me which of all these is not a characteristic of wind-pollinated flowers. First one, this is the first option, this is the second one, third one, fourth. We will analyze all of them. So the first option, you can see, analyze all of them. It said smaller quantities of sticky pollen produced. Smaller quantities of sticky pollen produced. This is false, because pollens that are produced by wind-pollinated flowers are non-sticky and are produced in very large quantities. Do you understand? Now, pollens that are produced by flowers that are pollinated by insects, the pollens are usually in small quantities and they are sticky. Hibiscus flower, rose flower, are attracted by insect and pollinated by insect. The pollen grains are usually sticky, so that as the insect visit the flowers, the pollen grain will stick on their body. When they fly it on that flower, they'll rub it off on that flower. And also the pollen grains are few. So they say smaller quantities of sticky pollen. No, it's wrong. Pollen grains that are sticky are for insect pollinated flower, but pollen grains that are produced by wind pollinated flowers are not sticky. So that's false. So I said that pollens are not sticky and are produced in very large quantities. Feathery styles of stigmas pendulously hang outside the flower. This is true. This makes it easy for pollen to be blown out and carried easily by the wind. Small inconspicuous scentless flowers. That's true. The flowers are green and scentless. So they are greens, they are pale green and scentless, and they don't have any scent since they are not pollinated by insects. They don't need insects to attract them. Wind can easily blow away the pollen and distribute it. Large anthers which are loosely attached. This is true. The anthers are large and full of large quantities of pollen. So the correct answer there is option what? Option A, because said that which of this is not. So if it's not, smaller quantities of sticky pollen are produced. So it's not true, because large quantities of pollen are produced and they are not sticky. So the correct answer is option A. Option A. So option A is not the character of wind pollinated flowers. Alright guys, we've come to the end of today's section of Learning with Prepclass, where we looked at past questions on Jamb 2019 biology. Now if you look here, you see a link. I urge you to type this link on your browser and click send and load it. When you do so, it's going to take you straight to our WhatsApp. When you join us on WhatsApp, you'll be getting updates and infos on the latest content we have on our channels. So till we meet again, I still remain Phototropism. Bye.